It's Monday, April 20. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. The business processing output company Alorica in Portmore, St. Catherine has become a flashpoint for the surge in the COVID-19 cases in the island. Employees have since been vilified in the public space. However, the company had passed the ministry's health inspection. So says Dr. Simone Spence, Director of Health Promotion and Protection at the Ministry of Health. The PBCJ has since received a copy of the report done by the Ministry of Health that showed the company got a 100% compliant rate with one proviso. Everyone entering the building must wear a mask. Gabrielle Thompson reports.
The inspection of Alorica was one of 62 carried out in the business processing output BPO sector between March 14 to April 15.
We do not have at this time the detailed inspection reports for all parishes in terms of all the entities inspected. We have a summary report, and so what has been indicated, if I may share, is that, for example, in St. James there were 2 that did not meet the standard. And when we say not meeting this standard, while the general building and infrastructure was okay, it was in terms of, in particular for the COVID-19 circumstances, the not observing of social distancing, and in terms of the type of chemicals they would have been using for sanitization and disinfection, which would have been corrected for some of them already. And so I can't give the detail in terms of whether or not Sutherland, I think, was the BPO you mentioned, in terms of whether or not that one was found not meeting the standard. I don't have the list of the 12 that would have not met the standard just yet. I do know that Alorica in St. Catherine, however, based on the inspection report received, did meet the standard at the time that it was inspected.
PBCJ has since received a copy of the Ministry of Health report that was not available to Dr. Spence at the time of the press conference on April 16. The report gave Alorica a 100% compliant rate on April 1, 2020. It detailed, among other things, the following: absence of overcrowding 4 out of 4 and 100% for safety measures. There was one recommendation made to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Everyone entering the building is to wear masks. It's understood that Alorica complied immediately even as they faced a challenge, acquiring masks to build up the company's stock supplies as none were available for purchase in the island. The company now reportedly has enough supplies of masks. However, the company is now closed. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
Workers of a business processing outsourcing firm Alorica who are unable to work from home should be getting a special care package of $100. That's approximately $13,500 this week. Alorica was ordered closed by the Ministry of Health and Wellness after 2 members of its 700-plus staff tested positive for the novel coronavirus. Since then, more than half of the staffers have reportedly been tested, with 84 returning positive results for the virus. In a bid to reduce pressure on its staff, the company announced Saturday night that the special one-off payment will be made to those who are unable to work from home. Alorica also committed to ensuring that all staff salaries remain at 100% of current basic rates, while the current employment contract remains in place until the end of the month, by which time the management is hoping to decide on a possible early resumption of production. 196. That was the total number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 on Monday morning, following an increase of 23 new cases over the weekend. There are now 34 imported cases. 43 are contacts of a confirmed case. Of the 113 under investigation, 95 are associated with a workplace cluster. So far, 1,809 samples have been tested. 196 are positive, 1,591 are negative, and 22 are pending. Talks are ongoing between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and the United States Embassy to identify any issues related to shipments of critical COVID-19 related material which may have an impact on the government's response to the outbreak. In a statement, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, explained that some of the delays may be related to longer than usual commercial processing requirements on the context of global demands of these products. She says the U.S. funded a further 2,500 test kits, which are expected to be received from the International Atomic Energy Agency this week. $750,000 is also being provided through the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, for the provision of critical response items, including ICU beds. Healthcare staff members in the parishes of Manchester, Clarendon and St. Elizabeth are set to benefit from improved mental health and psychological support services from the Southern Regional Health Authority. The services include counseling and welfare support for staff members who now have access to more social workers, psychiatrists, psychologists, and mental health team. Members of staff can access services 24 hours a day. Regional Director for the SRHA, Michael Bent, noted that the novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19 pandemic, has caused a high level of concern and anxiety among the general population, including healthcare workers, because of the nature of their jobs. There will be reviews of the current shopping hours in St. Catherine, now under a 7-day lockdown. There was utter chaos at supermarkets and traffic jams in the main towns on Wednesday and Saturday as people tried to stock up on supplies. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton confirmed the review during an Instagram live interview with dancehall artist Grace Hamilton. Marlon Samuels tells us more.
On the designated shopping days in St. Catherine, Prime Minister Andrew Holness offered these words of advice.
If you must go to the market, make a list and shop by it. Do not stay longer than necessary. Use the sanitization stations provided. Avoid touching surfaces. Avoid crowds and standing close together. And use a mask or a scarf to cover your nose and mouth.
What took place in Portmore, St. Catherine on Wednesday and again on Saturday in Linstead is a poster of what not to do. There was greater control in other areas of the parish with the help of the police.
If you're waiting in line for the supermarket, we're asking you to join the line and obey social distancing 3 feet apart. So we're going to ask the officers to just move around to ensure that persons are in line. If you're not in line, then we're going to ask you to leave and go back to your homes. So if you're not waiting in line for the supermarket, you're going to be instructed to leave and go back home because you can't be gathering.
The police were visible in communities and business establishments. As soon as a problem arose, they quickly restored order.
We're still monitoring people trying to leave the parish. That work still goes on at the checkpoints, and so far so good.
Yes, sir. Are you a member of the Census person? You have an ID? You have an ID to go with it? Your name is on that document? The document is on that.
If you don't need to come out, if you don't need to come on the road, stay home. It makes everybody else's life easier. If you can get one person from a household to come out and do the shopping for everyone else, then that's better than everybody trying to go out. So the less people we have on the road or shopping is the better.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness visited sections of St. Catherine on the weekend.
This epidemic has given an opportunity for people to see our security forces in a new light. We have been able to conduct several operations, including all-island curfews, with very little complaint about abuse. We are now conducting a lockdown with mass crowds and mass gatherings, with people who are frustrated trying to get their grocery items. But we have not seen a confrontation. We have not seen people making complaints about the behavior of the police. And I think that's a good sign that the way in which you have conducted yourself and throughout this lockdown within the parish will give the nation significant trust in the police. I make this point because as we progress through the epidemic, more than ever, we're going to have to rely on the police to maintain the orders that are given, to reinforce and encourage people staying home, maintaining social distance. Eventually, you will have to see people on the road and say, where is your mask? You can't arrest everyone that is not wearing a mask. But by your presence, by people psychologically understand that you mean them well, when you approach them and say, put on your mask, they respect that and they will do it. And that is the power and the value of law enforcement.
For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
The island was slated to conduct a housing and population census in 2021, but that is now cast in doubt owing to uncertainties brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Director General Carol Coy spoke to this at a recent briefing.
Regarding Census 2021, STATIN continues its preparations as if with the intention of having the census in 2021. However, because of COVID, there are certain issues that are affecting us. Our pilot, which we were hoping to go in the field in July 2020, might be impacted. We suspect it might be impacted by COVID.
In addition, the Director General noted challenges relating to tablet computers, which she pointed out were slated to be used for the first time in the census exercise in 2021.
There are also issues, as we have been saying to most persons, we would be using tablet computers for the first time in the census. We have had issues already in trying to order tablets for our pilot survey, that there seemed to be an issue with the supply chain. So those are areas that will be that we think will impact our work. So we're still going ahead, planning for it, but we cannot say for certain that it will take place given what is happening with COVID-19.
The census, which captures data on the total number of citizens and households in the country, is conducted every 10 years by STATIN. Jamaica's population and households totaled 2.6 million and 853,660 respectively when the last census was conducted in 2011. The Office of Utilities Regulation has cancelled all remaining town hall meetings for discussion on the JPS 2019 to 2024 tariff application. The OUR says the cancellation is part of its efforts to respond to government announcements regarding the social distancing measures being adopted in Jamaica in the wake of COVID-19. The OUR says you can share your own views on the JPS 2019-2024 tariff application by emailing them at pstarif2019@our.org.jm. Millions of dollars went up in flames when the building housing Nana's Bargain Store and other businesses were gutted by fire on Sunday night. The fire reportedly broke out shortly after 8 Sunday. Onlookers at the scene said the fire spread fast after the first flames appeared.
It's not a good night for the commercial department or certainly the business people of Barnard Street, considering the COVID virus and what has been happening and the locking down. Business has dropped dramatically and now we have a store being burned down. It's going to be hard. I also spoke to a lady who her business is beside it and she's worried because her rent is due and business has dropped dramatically. So it's really a sad night on Barnard Street. All the firefighters are out trying to bring this fire under control. Really, my heart reaches out to the business owners and the residents of this Barnard Street community. Stay safe. Practice social distancing and take care of yourself during this pandemic.
Street vendors who reportedly stored their wares at the facility on the building reportedly burst into tears as their inventory went up in flames. There were no reports of injuries. Time now for the business report with Gabrielle Thompson.
In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 2,335 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 77 stocks, of which 24 advanced, 45 declined, and 8 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 72 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, 1834 Investments Limited, and Access Financial Services. Stocks declined for AMG Packaging and Paper, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Variable Preference, Blue Power Group, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited was the volume leader with over 15 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 2.7 million units and Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 1.3 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Friday, April 17 ended trading at $140.01. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $99.99. The pound sterling traded for $175.09 and the euro ended trading at $154.40. Oil prices fell on Monday with the U.S. crude futures contract hitting its lowest level since 1999, depressed by concern that U.S. crude storage will soon be full while companies prepare to report the worst quarterly earnings since the financial crisis. Brent crude futures fell $1.12 to $26.96 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude fell $4.79 to $13.48. That's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
In regional news, we begin in Trinidad and Tobago, where social activist Inshan Ishmael appealed to corporate Trinidad to step up in this time of COVID-19 crisis. He made the statement on Sunday, the third day of his food distribution drive. Stacey and Providence of TTT News filed that report.
Initial venture into feeding those who are feeling the pinch during the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in utter chaos. But on day 3 of the initiative, with the help of the police and social distancing measures in place, distribution was faster and smoother, but not without hiccups.
The problem we are facing right now, this is what is happening. And we have no more hampers to give out. So people are going to go home hungry.
Inshan Ishmael says this despite the distribution of over 10,000 hampers in 3 days. The challenge remains getting food to those who need it. Many are unable to work to feed their families, the stay-at-home measures exacerbating the situations of those already struggling. And while government has offered relief in the form of grants and food cards, word on the ground is that there is an urgent need for food now.
I am appealing to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is going to be bigger than COVID, because last night we went to some homes, people cupboards empty, children crying. A woman sent me a message. She put her finger in her child's mouth to go to sleep because the child didn't have food. This is going to take more lives than COVID, so Trinidad have to come together. What is happening is that we have deaths from COVID, and people now may lose their children because of hunger. And I fear that people who cannot feed their children, God forbid, may turn to doing something illegal. So I'm appealing to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, if they could do something immediately to assist. We are willing to use here as a central point for everybody to get assistance. All we need is the goods, and we will get the volunteers to package.
Mr. Ishmael believes much more can be done to help the worst-hit families.
What I'm disappointed with is the lead from the religious leaders. We all know that we see our imams, our pundits and priests telling us about charity and giving. But right now, all of them lock up in their homes, while we, the people who they talk to outside here, risking our lives. And for me, that is the biggest disappointment. Not only that, we have people who make millions of dollars on these poor people by the milk that they supply, by all the things that they supply for babies. We are not seeing these people giving back. We are seeing big companies located within a stone straw of here, and they're giving zero. So what we are appealing to is corporate Trinidad and Tobago, please, please, please come forward.
He thanked the members of the police service and the municipal police who lent support in ensuring the distribution remained within the COVID-19 guidelines. Stacey Ann Providence, TTT News.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to spread across the region, over in Barbados, the economic squeeze is being felt as unemployment continues to rise. We get more in this Barbados Today report.
Unemployment figures continue to rise, with some 16,000 workers now on the breadline as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Word of this from Labour Minister Colin Jordan, who was speaking on the current affairs program, The People's Business, last night, along with union leaders, about the impact of the pandemic on the island's workforce.
The Prime Minister was very clear when she spoke to the nation. She indicated the number of applications to the National Insurance Scheme for unemployment benefits. At that time, it was upward of about 14,000, I think. At this point, I think we may be closer to about 16,000. And so what is happening across the world has not skirted our shores. And because of the closures of business, because of the closing of the borders, we have tourism, which is one of our major employers, almost at a standstill. And so there are thousands of persons who are not employed at the moment. We have kept open essential services and made some adjustments to those over time, but the bulk of the economy would be operating at a very slow pace at the moment. And so there is significant dislocation among workers at this time.
General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Senator Tony Moore, admits she is concerned about the current unemployment situation.
One thing we can say is that COVID-19 is no respecter of persons. The COVID-19 has had its direct impact on hotels and tourism. And in the labor movement, we have been, in the BWU, certainly we have been in discussions over the last 3 to 4 weeks with a number of partners. And when I say partners, I mean where we have collective agreements, trying to assess the situation and see what methods we would need to apply in order to contain the labor situation in Barbados. As the Minister of Labor has said, the currently unemployment stands during COVID-19 stands at above 16,000, just under 17,000. And this is a situation that we are expecting to increase. But while we expect the worst, we still are planning for the worst. Actually, we continue to hope for the best.
Acting General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, Delcia Burke, said while public workers have not been impacted, that could change if the situation continues.
So far, NPW represents the government public service. And so far, no public servant has been impacted. Workers are either on the job in the office or working from home, or some of them are at home and not working but being paid. But the NPW recognizes that Barbados is driven by tourism. And if this situation continues for much longer, we suspect that it is going to have an impact on employment in the public service. We are hoping that it doesn't, but to be realistic, we believe that if the situation continues as it is right now, that we are going to have a serious problem in the public service.
In sports, 72 employees of Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited have been laid off temporarily because of the shutdown of horse racing in Jamaica due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to SVL, it had employed several options to protect its staff across the group during the COVID-19 pandemic. The company added that it anticipates that due to the pandemic's unprecedented spread across the globe, its business in Guyana will also be impacted. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching, and do remember, stay safe and stay home.